Hi there! This is a look at my cooking system for hiking and bushcraft. My system is fairly lightweight and inexpensive, but the thing that I like most about it is that it's a true multi-fuel system. Now, what do I mean with true multi-fuel system? If you go to your local sporting goods store, you will find several stoves labeled multi-fuel. However, these stoves are not multi-fuel in a true sense. They can burn on different liquid fuels, and they are not limited to, say, alcohol. They can burn gasoline and many types of liquid fuels, but they are limited to liquid fuels. These stoves are often designed for extreme conditions like cold winter and high altitudes. And for this they are great, but for the common hiker they are way too expensive, complicated to use, and they are usually quite heavy. My system, however, is multi-fuel, as it can utilize different types of fuel. With this system I can use any solid fuel, woods, dry biomass, cow dung, twigs, sticks. I can use any solid fuel tablets, hexamine tablets. S-bit is the probably most known one. And with a simple add-on like this Catfood can stove, inside it I can use alcohols and gels. So that's 4 different types of fuel: biomass, tablets, alcohols and gels. Now let's look at the different components. The base of the cooking system is the Bushbox ultralight. It's a German-based company which makes wood-burning stoves. This is their ultralight model. Their original model is a lot more box-like. Looks like this. The ultralight model comes in at 70 grams, so it's not heavy by any means. It's very inexpensive and it folds down to a bit larger than a credit card. It fits right here in this small pouch bag. It accepts many types of pots, from a small mug to a larger pot. Here's a typical canteen cup, as you can see, will stay there quite nicely. A somewhat larger pot, and this is the solo stove pot, fits perfectly over there. And this is a 1.5 liters trangia made aluminum pot. This is the one that I mostly use. Most of the time I use it with this Catfood can stove. Many of you know this stove probably. It's just a simple tin that has contained cat food. I've picked this up at our garbage disposal unit, so I didn't pay anything for it and just used a normal hole punch to punch these holes. It works very well with alcohols and gels, and these Fire Dragon tablets. It's sort of a gel when you light it, but before you light it, it's a hard solid fuel tab. Once it's lit, it melts and is more like a gel. And when you're using Catfood can stove, the stove itself acts more like a windshield. And of course, the stove can accept a normal trangia burner, but the trangia burner is so heavy, I prefer the Catfood can stove, as it comes in around 10 grams. Underneath the stove I have a protective sheet or mat, what do you want to call it. It's actually a welding mat. It's a small piece of heat and cut resistant fiber. It can withstand a direct flame and around 900 degrees centigrade of heat, so it should protect the ground from anything that I put inside of this stove. It prevents the stove from scorching the earth underneath, and this way I can maintain a leave no trace style of cooking and hiking. The stove burns wood very hot because it lets in so much oxygen from beneath and from the sides. So the only thing that's left when you're done cooking is white ash, you know, the powder-like ash, and it's not much. So it really is a leave no trace type of stove with the mat underneath. Without the mat, there's of course a risk for scorching the earth or lighting up some grass or vegetation underneath. With this cooking system, I usually use this trangia made aluminum pot. It's about 1.5 liters max, but 1 liter is the sweet spot for this. It's perfect for me. I usually hike alone, so it's even a bit too big, but I like it having a bit larger pot when I'm cooking meals and not just dehydrated meals. Everything you see here fits nicely inside of this pot, and usually I even carry some fire starting materials inside of the pot. There's some string, birch bark, fire starting tablets, some hexamine tablets, and of course the fire dragon tablets, and some pepper and dishwashing detergent. So it packs quite small, a very efficient system. It's not too heavy. The stove components in themselves are somewhere around 300 grams, so it's almost an ultralight system, but not quite. But of course the fire starters add some weight. Now if you compare this to other common systems here in Finland, I guess most people are familiar with the trangia system. It's a great system, but it only works with alcohols. Of course you can purchase the gas burner separately, but it's quite expensive, almost as much as the base cooking system in itself. But the system costs around 60 or 70 euros and up, depending on what kind of components you choose, and it weighs just under a kilo, so it's quite heavy, and that's just the stove. Then you of course have to carry your fuel, but with this system, because it burns biomass, there's no need to carry fuel except for some extra or just in case emergency fuel, and these weighs like 20 grams, so it's not a big deal. So this is my cooking system. Cheap, light and true multi-fuel. All the stove components, of course this was free, but these components was under 50 euros, and compared to many other stoves, I guess the cheapest gas stove you can find is around 50 euros, but then of course you have to buy the gas and usually a pot. The trangia is like 60 euros up, and so on. So in my opinion, you can't beat this system for normal hiking. Of course, if you are going into the mountains, Lapland, where there are no trees, this can be a bit of a problem in the strong winds. But here in the rest of Finland, where it basically is forest everywhere, this is just a perfect setup. It works very well in the winter as well. So a true multi-fuel cooking system, almost ultralight at 300 grams. Thank you for watching.